When you think of your ideal Superman movie, does it involve him getting his ass kicked for about 90 minutes and a dog stealing the show? No? Well, welcome to 2025. That's what you get anyway. Hi, y'all. Snarky J Cosplay here. Do not adjust your TV sets. I'm well aware that my appearance today is a little bit different, but tonight I got invited to an early special screening of Superman 2025. It's currently Monday the 7th, and I'm recording this at midnight. I got out of the theater a couple of hours ago. I put together my review. I kind of formulated my thoughts. For those that are watching this before having seen the movie, don't worry. This is going to be a spoiler-free review up until the end. I will let you know when we get into that spoiler section, but for now you are totally safe. I've kept this free of spoilers. I just want to give y'all my thoughts on James Gunn's new Superman. Superman 2025 is a film that could have been a lot worse, but I think what is so frustrating about it is that it could have been a lot better. It's a film that is mostly propelled by dizzying camera work, tonal whiplash, and a plot that's almost as bloated as its ensemble. David Sweat, honestly, despite a flawed script, brings a gentle earnestness to the character that really made me feel like I was watching the Superman, but unfortunately, for so much of the other things in this movie, I kind of felt like, what the hell did I just watch? My rating for Superman 2025 is a 4.5 out of 10. It's a visually decent...
A what? A 4.5 out of 10. That's the rating she gave it. With a Wonder Woman outfit on, a Wonder Woman costume on, that has nothing to do with Superman. Yeah, it's a DC character, but she's not in Superman. I gave the movie a 7 out of 10. It was worth it though. Let's continue.
It's an occasionally entertaining, but ultimately overstuffed first outing for David Sweat's Superman. Those great performances, unfortunately, can't save it from tonal inconsistencies, weird direction, and of course that signature James Gunn thing that just doesn't appeal to me, and I don't think works for Superman. I would have given this a higher score had they left the dog at home and not taped the camera to Aruba. So let's get right into it. My issue with this movie is that the plot still tries to do too much. It wants to really tie into modern day and make me feel like the Superman is grounded in our reality, which is a little unsettling and unpleasant at times. And there are a lot of moving pieces to this. There's a lot of different elements, and it honestly kind of feels like too many for a first Superman solo film. I feel like this movie is so bloated in ways that they really just could have cut down when writing the script for this.
She needed to give the directors, the producers, the actors, actresses some slack. She needed to give them some slack. Cut them some slack. They did their job. That's all I gotta say about that.
Almost structured like an action sandwich, where it's just battle after battle after battle, and then every once in a while some melodrama, and then Superman is usually getting wrecked. That's probably one of my biggest issues with this film. I'm not a Zack Snyder fangirl. I couldn't stand what Zack Snyder did with the Superman character. I'm not a big Superman person to begin with, but when I see Superman, I want to see that hopeful guy, the big blue Boy Scout. I want him to be the symbol of hope that he should always be, especially in contrast to his fellow heroes, to the villains. I like to see Superman win, and this Superman is...
Yeah. Now let me take you back to the Henry Cavill Superman and the Man of Steel. If you saw that movie, you would remember that he had a fight with General Zod. Was he always winning the fight? No, he wasn't always winning, though. He had to fight for his life. And Batman versus Superman, he was losing against Batman. Batman had the upper hand. So he wasn't winning that fight. And then we go to Justice League. Yeah, I skipped the Doomsday scenario in Batman vs. Superman because you know what happened to him at the end of the movie. But when you go to Justice League, he fighting the whole Justice League by himself. So he went in that fight. And then he beat the hell out of Steppenwolf. Yeah, he beat the hell out of him. And Darkseid. And fast forward to this Superman, David Corwin Sweat. He's not winning all of his fights. He's not winning all of his battles. He getting tested by his enemies. So when Snarky J talking about Superman losing, she don't know who Superman is. She don't know that Superman has weaknesses. All superheroes have weaknesses. I don't care how strong, fast, mighty. I don't care how strong, fast, or mighty you are. You got your weaknesses. That being said, she need to learn more about the DC storyline. She need to know more about the characters, so she'll know what she's talking about. Let's continue.
His body slammed, face slammed, shoulder check. I mean, I was half expecting somebody to pull out a folding chair and just bash it over his head. Sure, it's good to see Superman be a little vulnerable, right? I mean, he's boring if he's too perfect. But this kind of like toes the line between flawed and like, holy dude, I feel bad for you. Why are you getting your ass kicked in your own movie so much? I just really wanted to see him win at this point because I felt bad. There are some things within the plot that feel kind of CW-ish, and I really wanted this to be so much better than it ended up being, at least to me. So let's talk about the tone. This is so very clearly a James Gunn project. Signed by James Gunn. Like James Gunn's Superman. That's kind of how I feel about this. His signature tone and his style are absolutely undeniable through this film. And unfortunately, I think James Gunn's style is best in small doses or when it's not about Superman. And I felt that way when I saw the trailers, and I feel like my fears were kind of confirmed. This movie has moments where it wants to be silly. And then it wants to be serious. And it wants to be emotional. And it wants to be meta. And it wants to be Guardians of the Galaxy with capes. It wants to literally have it all. But as a result, it kind of undercuts itself consistently. Almost every emotional beat has to get cut short by a one-liner, some kind of joke, a reference, or, again, the antics of Crypto the Superdog. Buy the plush for your kids, they'll love it. And James Gunn always seems, but especially in this movie, so hell-bent on imprinting his own personal ideas, his own brand, his own experiences onto things that don't always need that specific signature. When the story calls for something a little more grounded and sincere, he just refuses to let it happen because he's gotta be James Gunn. One of the big things that honestly pleasantly surprised me about this movie were the visuals. The trailers had me bracing for borderline unfinished CGI and some really wonky imagery. And even though the suit, which is one of the main visuals of this film, didn't get any better and I still don't like it, the CGI looks a lot more polished. And there are actually scenes in this film, you do still have some of the flat superhero lighting, you're always going to get that, but there are scenes in this film that show genuine cinematic ambition that surprised me with how nicely produced they were. There are a lot of moments in this film where it tries to be visually striking and actually succeeds. But, and this is a big but, behave in the comments section, I know you. The amount of shaky cam and spinning shots in this movie, someone please get James Gunn a tripod and a f***ing chill pill. Some of the shots feel like watching a GoPro strapped to a squirrel. I mean, I went in to watch Superman and I left honestly feeling dizzy and disoriented. Whether it's the dog, Superman, any of the other heroes, or any of the other baddies in the film, by the end of it, my eyes hurt. And speaking of the dog, because I've spoken so much about the dog, we have to talk about Crypto, or better yet, how to ruin a movie in 3 seconds. Look, I'm gonna be real with you. I was looking at this scruffy-ass, poorly behaved dog, and I can't tell you that he doesn't remind me a little bit of my dog. And I know that that is what James Gunn and the people in this film are counting on. That people are gonna look at Crypto and go, ha, my dog's a dick too! And they're gonna make millions, and they're gonna sell the popcorn buckets and the plushies and the shirts and all that shit. I understand. I get it. But I still feel like when I watch Superman, I don't need to feel like I relate to him that much. Because he's Superman. I don't need to go, oh, my dog's an asshole too. No, his dog could just be good. And so the problem is that Crypto the Superdog is admittedly adorable for like 5 minutes. His entire shtick, honestly for me, got really old really fast. Because his whole thing there is just being like a chaos gremlin. I feel like his entire existence is just to wreck emotional beats and then piss on anything that could be taken seriously. I honestly, at the beginning, I was like, alright, dog's cute, he's fine, reminds me of my little guy. And then by the end of it, I kind of felt like the movie would stop every time this dog would return to the screen. Imagine really trying to take any heartfelt or serious moment seriously, and then having it be interrupted by, oh, the dog bit something, like, it gets a little old. Performances though, I have to tell you, David Corenswet blew me away. I liked Henry Cavill, I loved Henry Cavill. But there were moments in this film where I was watching David Corenswet, and I think he had a bigger challenge, because when I saw Henry Cavill, I said, that's Superman. David Corenswet had to kind of win me over, because I just felt like Henry Cavill did a great job with the character. Even if I didn't like what Snyder did, I loved Henry Cavill. David Corenswet had to come up from that for me. And there were moments where I looked at him, and it's not just what he looks like. Yeah, okay, he looks a little bit like Henry Cavill looks like Superman, it's a whole thing. But you can see it. It's this thing that comes from within him that rises above him. Where you look at him and in his smile and in his eyes and in his gaze, you see Superman. The script that he's given needed to be so much better, but my God, David Corenswet, he rocks as Superman. Yes, there are a lot of moments where he's sort of bordering on whiny, and he's this younger, inexperienced Superman that is very different from Henry Cavill's, but he sells this more human, more sympathetic, gentle part of Superman and Clark Kent that he's like a caramel, it just melts in your mouth. It's great. I really like David Corenswet as Superman. I also want to give flowers to Rachel Brosnahan, who really brings a great energy to Lois Lane. She is every bit the intrepid reporter. She's charming, she's stubborn, she has a great energy with Clark Kent. And what I really like is I think she delivers a nuanced performance, and the script allows her to be a nuanced, great version of Lois Lane that feels classic and never feels like just another cog in the modern era girl boss machine. The scene stealer here is Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, who is absolutely brutal. He's frightening sometimes. I think he brings a fantastic energy to the character. He's somehow unsettling and charismatic and incredibly layered. I don't entirely love his arc in this film, and I'll get into that in just a few minutes in the spoiler part of this review, but the performance was fantastic. Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner and Eddie Gaffney as Mr. Terrific. They brought so much personality and charm and unique characters to the story than I actually expected, and they were incredibly welcome contributions to the story and the really stacked cast. I ended up leaving the film wanting to know more about Mr. Terrific and struggling between either wanting to punch Guy Gardner in the face or get a bowl cut and travel the world with him. So the final verdict here. Look, I wasn't the biggest fan of Zack Snyder's borderline emo, super dark Superman. I went into this wanting something brighter, something more Superman, that symbol of hope, the bright colors. I didn't want James Gunn's sense of humor, but I went in ready for a fresh take on Superman, the Superman of this generation. And what I got was Superman being tossed around like a rag doll for almost 2 hours straight. There's a good Superman movie buried somewhere in this film, pretty deep down. And David Corenswet is a strong enough lead to carry that story. But James Gunn's obsession with the self-aware humor, with the CGI shots shaken all over the place, and his absolute refusal to let serious moments breathe, all those things really just bog this movie down for me. And what we end up with is a movie that's honestly way more loud than fun, sometimes more frustrating than emotionally impactful, a very tonally confused film that for me did not quite stick the landing. Now I'd like to get into a full spoiler breakdown. I want to nitpick some stuff, I want to talk about the plot. I'm really going to get into this, so I am warning you right now, the next few minutes are going to be all spoilers. I know some people listen to me while they drive or while they clean the house. If that's you, please stop whatever you're doing, pause the video, exit, go watch the movie, do something. I am going to spoil this film in the next few minutes. Please do not get mad at me in the comments if you don't turn me off in time. This is your last warning. You've been warned. Let's go. So this film doesn't...
Well, guys, I'm going to stop it there. I saw the movie. I don't want to hear her break it down like I haven't seen it already, so I said what I had to say. This is my feedback to Sparky J. Until then, peace out.